What's going on, guys? We're back here with another edition of Why Shit Got Banned, and today we're going to be discussing Blaziken, a very interesting case that I have quite a lot to say on. Now, Blaziken's an interesting case because he's not a Pokemon that got banned necessarily for lack of switch-ins or overwhelming power, because even though it did have a lot of power, I mean, it still has the stats of a starter Pokemon. 120 attack is quite a lot, but there are Pokemon in OU with higher stats than that. It's pretty frail, it's got a lot of weaknesses. So what exactly made this so special that it needs to be banned to Ubers? If it were just speed boost, okay, that would be one thing, because with speed boost alone, yes, it would be difficult to deal with, because base 80 speed at +1 for free basically is pretty hard to deal with. The fact that it can run only 2 moves and get coverage on most of the meta with fire and fighting, its 2 stabs complement each other very well, to the point where you don't necessarily need coverage moves to succeed unless you're using it for a specific purpose like luring stuff in. And even with coverage like Stone Edge and Thunder Punch, I just feel like you don't get enough out of those moves over a couple of support moves that really put Blaziken over the edge. Because again, if it was just speed boost, then maybe we could have a discussion of like, okay, down the line should we suspect it, and after that, will it be banned? But as you all remember, Blaziken was quick banned. Not even a suspect test, he was quick banned. So he's not going to come back, next generation, not coming back. And why is that? It's because he has both speed boost, 2 stabs that he can cover most of the metagame with, 2 strong dual stabs. I mean, these are not just like some base 80 moves. It's not some Gengar Shadow Ball shit. Alright? This is high jump kick and flare blitz. 130 and 120 base power. And that's why that 120 attack, even though it's pretty par for the course for an offensive Pokemon in OU, the base power of your stab moves is really what makes Blaziken such a threat. And especially to offense. But, okay, I'll draw you this scenario. Let's say you got a Blaziken out in your field. It's a nice life for a Blaziken. I'll add a comment about a Mega in a minute, because really the Mega didn't change anything. It didn't make it any more or less broken. But you got a life for Blaziken sitting in front of you. You have a Hippowdon. You switch it in, he predicts your switch in, goes for SD. Okay, that's fine though, because Hippo's hella fat, right? He's at +1 speed, +2 attack in 1 turn. Oh, he went for Baton Pass. Whoops. And he goes into any sweeper that beats Hippowdon. For some reason, I can't think of one like off the top of my head. I don't know, like in a Azumarill, something that beats Hippo. Some kind of water or a Pokemon that Hippo can't touch. And that's the frustration with Blaziken, is that it can cause all sorts of havoc with pretty much no turns of setup. Protect is the most that you would see sometimes. And maybe Swords Dance. So like those 3 moves, Swords Dance, Protect, and Baton Pass, that it could interchangeably run depending on how you want to play it, is what really pushed Blaziken over the edge, because it can cause all sorts of havoc, weaken your sweepers, and then, oh, whoops, Baton Pass, and I'll give all my boosts to the Pokemon behind me that can beat my counters. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, oh, you switched in your Hippowdon on my Swords Dance, have fun with this +2, +1 Dragonite. And granted, you could use Whirlwind, but Hippo was not even that common back in the day. It's like, oh, you switched in your Talonflame on my Blaziken as I use Baton Pass. Have fun with this +1 speed Tyranitar. That's likely Dragon Dance to complement Blaziken. Actually, no, that wouldn't make sense, because then Azumarill counters both of them. But you see what I mean? It's shit like that. With Azumarill, you can just Baton Pass to an electric type or a grass type, your Superior, your Thundurus, and you have fun dealing with that at +1 speed to punish your supposed counter to Blaziken. One thing I forgot to mention here is the new Baton Pass clauses, how you can't pass more than 1 stat. I know someone's going to ask me, so I think even with the current Baton Pass rules, that Blaziken does not deserve to go back down to OU, because, I mean, Swords Dance was rare, honestly. People just ran Life Orb, Protect, Baton Pass, Dual Stab. But even just the speed boost that it could pass to its teammates, along with weakening their checks and counters, is enough, in my opinion, to make it too overwhelming in 1 slot. Like, Because even then, your opponent's getting punished for switching in a counter by getting a +1 speed boost to something else that can beat that counter. And that just makes it ridiculous. They can just pivot around like it's nothing, and with no risk, and huge reward, even if your opponent is playing well and switching in their fire and fighting Blaziken switch-ins. On top of the fact that because Blaziken is so strong, it's not even guaranteed that you can switch those Pokemon in more than once or twice. And that's not even saying that it can't sweep on its own. With only 2 moves, it can sweep through most offensive teams. And I mean, the Mega Form doesn't really add a whole lot of things. Like, the stats are just boosted. You get sort of the same thing, if not more, from a Life Orb boost. Really, the only relevant thing is the speed. Is that you're going to be +1 base 100 instead of base 80, which could be pretty significant for certain scarfed Pokemon, certain scarfed threats. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say about Blaziken. He's the very first starter Pokemon to be on the initial ban list. Again, which means he's not coming back in 7th Gen, unless he is deliberately brought down for a suspect test, which I don't think is going to happen. Like, really no other... And what differentiates... Because I know some of you will probably be thinking of Scolipede by now, and how Scolipede has the same options, right? He's got Swords Dance, he's got Baton Pass, and Protect, obviously. But what's the difference here? What is Scolipede's offensive typing? What walls Scolipede? A lot of things. A lot of things raw, even if it has Earthquake. Like Bug Poison in OU? A lot of shit walls that. Blaziken is fire fighting with 120 attack. It's good on its own as well as a support Pokemon to set up other sweepers. It does too much in one slot. It's an all-in-one setup for either itself or other Pokemon. You switch in your counter, your physical wall that deals with Blaziken. Blaziken weakens it and then says, "Bye bitch, I'm dipping." Baton Pass your +1 or +2 speed boost to something else, and just wreak havoc from there. All in a matter of a couple turns. And it can sweep by itself. And it creams offense. It does all of these things that it basically carries teams by itself with little or no prediction involved. As you can just click Protect whenever, click Baton Pass whenever, because by the time your opponent gets around to switching in their counter, you're going to be faster than pretty much everything in order to Baton Pass out. And yeah, that's I think that encompasses most of what I have to say about Blaziken. I don't think there's anything else noteworthy to mention. He is legal in Battle Spot doubles, but I don't, or like Smogon doubles, as in Smogon doubles OU, but I don't know too much about that metagame. But he is legal because you can just, he's a lot less effective when you can just double target him. He can't do nearly as many of the things that he could in singles as effectively by himself. And that's why he's legal there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about Blaziken or you want to know which Pokemon I should do next, you can go ahead and leave a comment down below.